Since ancient times, people have always wanted to live longer in search for immortality. One of the most famous stories is about Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of unified China. He spent his whole life searching for the elixir of life, believing it could help him live forever. However, he died before achieving his goal. Not only in China, the wish to live longer appeared in many different cultures. Kings, queens, and priests in ancient Egypt tried to preserve their bodies through methods like mummification. In the West, the famous alchemist Nicolas Flamel was said to have discovered the Philosopher's Stone, a magical object that could turn metal into gold and give people immortality. Today, instead of looking for magical medicines, modern science has advanced in studying genetics and medicine, giving new hope for extending life and improving the quality of human life. The book Lifespan, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to, published in 2019 by David A. Sinclair and Matthew LaPlante, is a pioneering work in this field. The authors explain the root causes of aging and introduce breakthrough methods to extend life. With bold ideas and advanced scientific approaches, the book shows us that aiming for an ageless future is entirely possible and worth hoping for. This book shows you how to live longer and healthier. Aging is a disease. It can be uncomfortable, painful, frustrating, humiliating, expensive, and even deadly. But until now, we have tended to accept it as an inevitable part of life. Fortunately, scientific advancements are reshaping how we think about aging. According to this, aging will become a disease that can be cured, and scientists are on the path to finding effective treatments. When this book reaches you, you will know that we are getting closer to a world where aging is no longer a certainty, but a choice. It will be a place where we can determine our own lifespan, and if you wish, you could live very long while staying healthy. At the same time, we will learn about the secret to longevity of the Okinawa Islanders, why some species can be immortal, what the world will be like when our average lifespan exceeds 100. Aging is actually a disease that can be cured. At the beginning of the 20th century in the United States, flu, pneumonia, tuberculosis, and digestive diseases caused about 50% of all deaths. But today, only 10% of Americans are at risk of dying from flu, pneumonia, and the number of people dying from tuberculosis or digestive diseases is so low that there are no statistics. Thanks to advances in medicine, these serious diseases are now less dangerous. So what if we see aging as a disease that can be studied and treated? Its symptoms could include memory loss, organ failure, weaker bones, slower wound healing, higher risk of infections, viruses, and a decline in brain function. Recent breakthroughs in genetics show that aging is really a disease. Not only that, it's a disease that can be cured. This means that our lifespan could be longer and our quality of life could improve significantly because aging symptoms would be reduced. Of course, like other diseases, aging is best treated not by solving each symptom, but by targeting its root cause. Cancer provides a good comparison here. Until the 1960s, researchers did not understand what caused cancer, so they focused on treating each symptom, and in the process, they also damaged healthy cells. By the 1970s, molecular biologists discovered the cancer gene. This is the specific gene that causes cancer when it mutates. So instead of treating each symptom, medicine made a breakthrough by targeting the cancer gene directly. As a result, healthy cells were saved and patient survival rates increased. So why don't we do something similar for aging? Because until now, very few people know the root cause of this issue. Luckily, modern medicine is making great progress and promises to offer many potential solutions. Our genes are interconnected to extend lifespan. Hydra vulgaris is a species of freshwater hydra. It has caught the attention of geneticists because it is unaffected by aging. Cellular aging is a gradual decline in function due to cells stopping division and accumulating in the body. Essentially, it is also the main cause of aging. In the wild, Hydra vulgaris is vulnerable to predators and environmental factors. However, when raised in the lab, they become immortal and show no signs of aging. Other immortal creatures like bristlecone pines, Greenland sharks, and bowhead whales also seem to have evolved to resist or significantly delay aging. So can humans do something similar? Many genetic studies suggest that we can. Although most living organisms have not evolved to fight aging, they all survive by evolving around a common gene circuit. This is a closed system where the activity of one gene triggers the response of another. To understand this gene circuit, we need to go back to the time when life first appeared, with small organisms that divided and multiplied quickly. Scientists speculate that these cells had two genes inside them. Now let's call them A and B. Gene A is a caretaker gene that functions to stop cell reproduction in response to environmental stressors. After all, there's no point in reproducing in an unsuitable environment. Meanwhile, gene B is a silent gene. When environmental conditions improve, it wraps gene A in protein, shuts it off, and promotes the body to resume reproduction. To put it simply, you can think of gene A as a red light and gene B as a green light. But to survive, some cells have evolved a different gene circuit. In this circuit, gene B doesn't just switch off gene A, but actively repairs damaged DNA before restarting the reproduction process. This means that damaged DNA is not copied. This is crucial because if damaged DNA is replicated, the cells would lose their ability to reproduce, leading them to age. Today, we are an evolved, superior version of this survival circuit, but essentially its function remains the same: to repair DNA and prevent the loss of genetic information. In this sense, our bodies are naturally fighting against aging. But why do we still age? The answer lies within this survival circuit itself. The theory of aging shows that the main cause of this problem is the loss of cellular information. The theory introduced by the author suggests that aging happens because cells lose information during the repair process. As we know, DNA can be damaged if it is repaired incorrectly. When important information is lost, the cell stops working completely. Now, if the important information that defines who we are is only in our DNA, then it is not a big problem. DNA can perfectly reproduce itself, but we also need to pay attention to the epigenome because it is just as important. So what is the epigenome? We know that after fertilization, the DNA of the parents combines to create the genetic information for the child. Then the epigenome, which is the term for all the processes and structures that regulate genes, plays the role of sending messages to the body of the child. One of the stages of this process is called gene marking. Interestingly, it is also one of the causes of information loss. Basically, gene marking happens when genes tell the cell what its function is. You can imagine this as a conversation where A tells B that B is a kidney cell, not a brain cell. Some genes involved in this process, like sirtuin, also play an important role in repairing DNA, extending lifespan, and promoting life. These genes encode a family of proteins called sirtuins, which can move around to turn genes on or off in emergencies like illness or infection. Simply put, sirtuins are like mobile doctors. They repair and take care of cells to make sure each cell is healthy and working well. Clearly, longevity genes like sirtuins play a very important role in the fight against aging, but they also have two sides because if they malfunction, these genes can also cause aging. So, when do sirtuins malfunction? Specifically because they move around to deal with emergencies. They don't always remember the way back home. And when these homeless doctors are not well controlled, they can malfunction, turning off genes that should be on and turning on genes that should be off. During this process, sirtuins contribute to the loss of cellular information, leading to aging. You can team up with your longevity genes to fight aging. In some places around the world, aging seems to be slowing down. These special regions were first identified in the mid-2000s by longevity expert Dan Buettner, demographer Michel Poulain, and medical doctor Johnny Pess. The trio named these areas blue zones. Blue zones boast an unusually high rate of long-lived residents, many of whom live well into their 90s or even beyond 100 years. Moreover, these residents remain healthy and active despite their age. So what is the secret of blue zones? First, blue zone residents primarily follow plant-based diets with low animal protein intake. But as we know, animal protein provides a significant amount of essential amino acids to the body. These amino acids act as the building blocks for all the proteins inside us. So why is it considered beneficial for blue zone residents to eat less animal protein? In fact, when we are supplied with many amino acids, our bodies switch off the survival mode. That is, the genetic instinct to repair damaged DNA that typically activates during times of stress is turned off. On the other hand, plant-based proteins provide a balanced amount of amino acids that keep the body healthy while still activating the survival mode. Additionally, blue zone residents engage in other practices to induce desirable levels of stress on the body. One such practice is limiting their caloric intake. A 1978 study showed that residents of Okinawa consumed about 20% fewer calories than people in mainland Japan. And in Ikaria, Greece, residents follow the Greek Orthodox Christian calendar, which includes regular fasting periods. Fasting is believed to be another simple way to create desired stress and trigger survival mode without overactivating the longevity genes. In 1935, researchers at Cornell University even demonstrated that calorie-restricted mice live significantly longer. However, long-term calorie restriction may not be suitable for everyone. Fortunately, a 2011 study from Yeshiva University found that intermittent fasting, such as fasting for 5 days a month, can achieve similar results as long-term fasting. Specifically, after 3 months of intermittent fasting, study participants reported lower levels of IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. When IGF-1 levels are high, it is believed to play a significant role in aging and disease. Meanwhile, geneticist Nir Barzilai found that women who live past 100 years often had lower levels of IGF-1. The cure for aging might be right around us. A world without aging sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but in reality, geneticists are actively working to make this a reality. After years of studying everything from soil bacteria to wildflowers, they discovered that the key to curing aging may lie in nature itself. One potential cure comes from Rapa Nui, an island off the coast of Chile, also known as Easter Island in the West. In the 1960s, a group of scientists discovered a new bacterium in the soil beneath one of the island's famous statues. This bacterium contained an antifungal compound named rapamycin. Initially, it was used as an immunosuppressant, which prevents the body from rejecting newly transplanted organs. Since then, rapamycin has been found to have life-extending properties. Studies have shown that fruit flies treated with rapamycin live up to 5% longer. Mice at the end of their natural life cycles, when injected with rapamycin, lived 9 to 14% longer than expected. So why did fruit flies and mice treated with rapamycin live longer? The reason is that rapamycin inhibits the longevity gene mTOR. When we are young and the mTOR gene functions well, it promotes cell growth. But like sirtuins, as we age, the mTOR gene can become less effective and signal cells to stop dividing. Therefore, rapamycin regulates and prevents the mTOR gene from working against the body. In addition to rapamycin, we have prescribed another potential drug. Although considered a treatment for diabetes, metformin holds promise in the fight against aging. Interestingly, this drug is derived from the goat's rue plant, a type of wildflower. Studies have found that metformin can activate AMPK, an enzyme that restores mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are tiny organelles in cells responsible for converting nutrients into energy. Stimulating them means boosting the energy available for repairing and enhancing cell function. Moreover, metformin is also believed to inhibit the metabolism of cancer cells. A 2017 study on elderly individuals found that metformin could reduce dementia by about 4%, heart disease by about 19%, and conditions including frailty, unintentional weight loss, and exhaustion by about 24%. It's possible that metformin, rapamycin, or some other anti-aging drug will soon be widely prescribed. But researchers are also doing their best to fight aging on another front, by targeting aged cells, also known as zombie cells. To fight aging, we first need to eliminate zombie cells. Over time, our cells can age. Their DNA becomes damaged, and they lose the information necessary for regeneration. Although these cells stop functioning, they don't completely die. In fact, the accumulation of these aged cells can accelerate the aging process even more. Instead of quietly disappearing, zombie cells can send incorrect signals, such as a false emergency signal. This causes surrounding cells to age even faster. Moreover, when they send these signals, zombie cells release cytokines, a type of protein that causes inflammation, the root of many age-related diseases like heart disease and dementia. DNA is easily damaged. According to anatomist Leonard Hayflick, DNA can be damaged through the shortening of telomeres. Simply put, telomeres are protective caps that wrap around the ends of the DNA strands of each cell. After observing cell division in the human body, Hayflick found that the more a cell divides, the shorter the telomeres become, eventually exposing the DNA strands. Once the DNA strands are exposed, two things can happen. First, the cell might interpret this as a break in the DNA and try to repair it by fusing the broken strands together again. The problem is that when DNA is incorrectly fused, it can turn the cell into a cancer cell. Additionally, the epigenome, a complex system of chemical compounds and proteins that regulate genes, can also activate. It may signal the sirtuins to shut down the cell. This indeed prevents cancer cells from forming, but directly leads to the creation of zombie cells. So, what is the solution to this zombie cell epidemic? It's quite complicated. We need to eliminate the aged cells without damaging the rest of the cellular ecosystem. Fortunately, senolytics, an emerging class of drugs, might be suitable for this difficult task. Senolytics are drugs that can target and eliminate specific cells. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic tested two types of serum molecules on mice. The first was quercetin, a molecule found in kale, capers, and red onions. The second was dasatinib, a drug commonly used in chemotherapy. The results showed that the mice treated with the serum had an average lifespan increase of 36%. While these numbers are not yet enough to confirm the miraculous potential of the drug, they are still very promising. We can press the button and reverse aging. In 1996, when Dolly the sheep was cloned from an adult sheep's cell, the world was amazed by the achievement. However, for some scientists, the most astonishing thing about Dolly was the cell she was cloned from. Dolly was created from the cell of an older sheep. This means that old cells still contain information from the stage when they were pluripotent stem cells and are fully capable of reversing the aging process. As we have seen, aging occurs due to the loss of information at the cellular level. The loss of information can indeed be severe, but scientists estimate that over our lifetime, we lose about 80% of the original information. Thanks to cloning experiments, we now know that the original information is not just locked away somewhere inside DNA, but it can also be unlocked. And Japanese scientist Shinya Yamanaka discovered this key. Yamanaka isolated 4 genes that can be induced to transform into pluripotent stem cells or immature cells that have not undergone epigenetic changes. These 4 genes are now called Yamanaka factors. They can be reset to perform any function in the body. Researchers at Harvard have shown very promising results in reprogramming Yamanaka genes in mice. So what would life be like if we successfully program these genes in humans? It's possible that we would be injected with a virus containing Yamanaka factors at some point in our 30s. This virus would remain dormant until we turn 40, when another injection would be administered. Interestingly, this virus would contain a doxycycline molecule, which would activate the Yamanaka factors to start the reprogramming process. This vaccination process would be repeated in cycles at the ages of 60, 80, and potentially beyond 100. This raises another question. How would the world be affected when the average lifespan extends beyond a century? An aging population could be a good thing. According to the book, The 100-Year Life by L. Grattan and A. Scott, half of the children born in Japan in 2019 will live to 107 years old. Similarly, half of the children born in the United States in 2019 will live to 104 years old. And as scientists get closer to curing aging, our life expectancy is steadily improving. For every month we survive, we add a week to our life expectancy. But what will the world look like when most humans can live for over a century? The population will certainly get older, and the increasing number of people reaching retirement age will become a burden on society. They no longer contribute to the nation's GDP, and healthcare and social welfare costs continue to rise. So will longer lifespans put more strain on an already overloaded world? In fact, it all depends on how we extend lifespans. If we not only live longer but also cure aging, then our future prospects will be much brighter. Economists at the University of Southern California have suggested that curing aging means older people would remain mentally sharp and healthy enough to continue working and contributing to GDP. If this becomes a reality, the U.S. economy alone could gain an additional $7 trillion by 2069. After retirement, people usually spend less and invest less. However, with longer lifespans and greater vitality, trillions of dollars saved from retirement funds would be pumped back into the economy, helping the entire country grow. But the benefits don't stop there. In society, older individuals will hold a more important and respected position, leading to healthier and happier lives. Conclusion: if we want to live longer, healthier, and more useful lives, we must first change the way we see and approach aging. Aging is not something inevitable. It is actually a disease that can be cured. Fortunately, with remarkable advances in medical science, a world without aging is closer to us than ever before. Who knows, in just a few decades, we may actually discover the elixir of immortality that humans have dreamed of for centuries. Helpful advice: go to the gym. Through fasting, the residents of the blue zones achieve a state of desired stress and activate their survival genes without overloading them. But fasting is not the only way to do this. Regular exercise also creates the same effect. So no matter how busy you are, remember to make time for yourself, take time to exercise, and take care of your quality of life for the future. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who might need it. Give me a like, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to catch the latest videos. Once again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next videos.